Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan will confront opposition candidate Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu in the key presidential election runoff on Sunday. Neither managed to achieve an absolute majority in the first round of voting, though Erdogan maintained what could be a crucial lead. Before the presidential and parliamentary elections on May 14th, most opinion polls forecasted a victory for the opposition, but it didn't work out that way. Erdogan received 49.5% of the votes and the People's Alliance dominated the parliament. A third candidate, Sinan Ogan, won 5.2% with an ultra-nationalist alliance. However, in an unexpected turn of events, Ogan decided to back Erdogan with ATA alliance, throwing its weight behind Kılıçdaroğlu reaching a deal. The election agenda in the recent weeks has moved from the crisis-hit Turkish economy and relief from the February earthquakes that killed tens of thousands of people to topics such as terrorism and the fate of refugees, mostly Syrians, in this country. This is Saeed Azimi, and you're watching SNN's special issue. Dr. Mehmet Rekipoglu is now joining us from Sarkaya, Turkey. Hello, sir.
Hello.
So, as it is proven, this election was breathtaking for Turkey. Can you give me an on-the-ground data on what is happening now? We are told that huge turnout is expected. Is that true?
Well, actually, in the first round, I wasn't expected that we will experience the second round. It was almost evident that Erdogan will win, but most of the surveys and the public opinion, they were actually popular, and they were stating that Kılıçdaroğlu will win. But what we see is that Turkish people are still not convicted that the opposition bloc will save the country, because of course there are problems in Turkey, not just from economic point of view, but there are also other problems. But they understood that Erdogan can solve these problems, because the Turkish people, and it has been written in many opinion editorial or articles that have been stating that Turkish people are in favor of stability rather than political chaos. And in Turkish political history, what we have seen and what we have experienced is political chaos. Just before 20 years ago, before the AKP government came to power, what we see is that there was always political chaos. There was always alliance between parties that are totally different in terms of ideology. But now, what the opposition bloc has offered to the people, it's not accepted.
Interesting. So my next question is in the same regard. So Erdogan, if elected, will have to deal with a new record low Turkish lira. Do you think he's up to the task, or Kılıçdaroğlu has a better understanding of the inflation policies?
Well, it's not easy question to answer, but what the Turkish lira has suffered, it just 2 and 3 years ago started. So most of these problems are resulted due to Erdogan's economic policies. But it's a strategy, and we are not sure that what's going to happen. And Erdogan always stating that we are going to continue to pursue, to follow this policy. If we follow this policy, it's not easy to make Turkish lira better. But I'm sure that, as I told you, the opposition bloc is not a bloc that can save the country, because they are almost each parties. They are not united. They are united just to get topple Erdogan down. So I'm sure that Erdogan has some apparatus, some kind of tools that can save the economy, such as bringing Mehmet Şimşek. He was the economy minister just a few governments ago. So if he insists and he convicted the previous economy minister Mehmet Şimşek, when he comes to power, he comes to the ministry. Most probably, we will see some kind of developments in a positive way. But it's not easy, as I told you. And what we see from the Western media, they are united also against Erdogan. So making economy better is about international investment, bringing the international investment to the country. Mehmet Şimşek, he has some kind of reservation in the international investments or the companies, but we are not sure whether he is going to come or not. But in opposition bloc, we see some kind of expertise, such as in E Party, in a Good Party, which was most of them were in MHP, Nationalist Party. They have some expert on economy, such as Burak Bilge Yılmaz, I think. I'm not sure his name, but he's expert, and he's considered one of the most important experts in Turkey in terms of economy. They have some kind of plans to recover the economy. But as I told you, there are also other parties, such as Ali Babacan. He is also expert in economy, but we don't know who is going to rule the economy, who is going to rule the foreign policy, who is going to rule the internal stuff. So the opposition bloc doesn't give a guarantee.
So my next question is about another crisis in Turkey, not the economic crisis that unfortunately you're suffering from, the refugee crisis. So Kılıçdaroğlu pursued a more radical approach to the refugee crisis in Turkey, while Erdogan maintained a more moderate position in that regard. So what policy do you think is the best?
Well, unfortunately, it has been written in social media that if we see the third round, most probably Kılıçdaroğlu will turn to Islamic way. In the first round, he was not that kind of radical stance. He doesn't stance in a kind of against the refugees. Now he needs the votes that most of them were they are still against the refugees. So he took a stance against the refugees. But Erdogan is strict, and since just 1 year or 2 years ago, he stated that we will let them turn back to the countries, but it's not easy. And also, I have been studying Syria, and we have made several workshops about Syrian refugees and their returning process to their country. But it's not easy. And what I see from opposition, they really don't know the politics. You can see that Kılıçdaroğlu in the first round, he accused Russia of involving in the elections. But he is also saying that we are going to normalize with Assad regime. Without having good relations with Russia, you can't normalize your relations with Assad regime. So they don't know the politics. They are just criticizing. Of course, they have some expert on politics, such as Ali Babacan and Mehmet. He was prime minister. The other was a prime minister responsible for the European Union. But what we see from the opposition, they are always using rhetorics. But the Turkish people, the voters, most of them, majority of them, they don't believe them, because they believe that Erdogan, he's experienced guy. He has been in ruling like 20 years and more than 20 years, and he made lots of things to Turkey, like infrastructure projects,
correct,
airplanes, and the investment in national defense industry. So they believe Erdogan could. They always criticize. I also speak with people. I was just in a place that I work. They always criticize Erdogan, but they know that there is no alternative for it.
Okay, so for my last question, what is your prediction of this elections? What is the voter turnout? What do you think would be the voter turnout, and who will win?
Of course, it's no doubt Erdogan will win, and in the first round we were expecting that he would win easily, but it was a kind of challenge. You can imagine that all of your friends are against you, and you are the only. So it was like that, but he somehow managed, and the majority of the parliament is from Alliance of Republic, which takes AKP, MHP, and others. Most probably he will win. And I was also expect that Sinan Oğan he was ultra-nationalist candidate. He will support Erdogan. He announced that. Even he doesn't announce that. Even he said, okay, I'm not supporting Erdogan. He would win because it's not easy to win against Erdogan. We already know this, and it is. And the opposition, as I told you, they are ideologically and completely different parties, and then they came together to overthrow Erdogan. So most probably the voters in Turkey will choose the stability, not the uncertainty.
Okay, that was a very fair and precise answer, but let's get a percentage from you. What percentage do you think Erdogan will get?
Percentage, I think, I'm not expert on these issues, but most probably what I've most heard is 50 to 0.7.
So 55 to 57, right?
50, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Rekipoglu from Sakarya, Turkey. And thank you for watching SNN's special issue. Stay tuned.